I'm just gonna wing this because, in all honesty, I just want to talk. I've been seeing videos here and there, and some of them are making me raise a question mark, and then some of them are actually irritating me. So I'm just gonna do this. You gonna agree and or disagree? You might dislike, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna talk because this has been bothering me after watching a couple videos. The big thing I want to say is, why are people stressing over this game? Like, I get it, it is overwhelming. It is covering like 8 years in the span of 1 year, but at the same time, it is actually saving you a lot compared to what Japanese PS2 had to go through. And in all honesty, Japanese PS2 had a more extreme mode compared to what Global is going through. And in the sense of difficulty as well, Japanese PS2 has an edge. Now, yes, I'm kind of flexing and also stating some things and trying, and it's not to say like Japanese PS2 is better. It's just that if you want to bitch and complain, then you shouldn't really fucking bitch and complain and take the stuff that you're getting for granted. Because the one thing that irritates me is when people will complain about that and they're not really going out of the way to do something, and then also the fact that they don't understand and they haven't been in certain situations. They haven't played in the past. Now, obviously, I haven't played in the beta of the Japanese PSO2 or episode 1. I did join this game in 2014, summer of 2014, and I played a good chunk of episode 2 and 3. And when we got into 4, I was there as well with the transition. However, that's when stuff changed. And for global PSO2, I'm going to make a separate video emphasizing on this again. But for global PSO2, you guys had it easy because you guys didn't experience the beginning eras. You didn't experience those first 3 episodes. You did not experience the 4 years of what Japanese PS2 went through, because that is a unique atmosphere in itself. It had a completely different feel to what you guys are currently experiencing. And once again, Global didn't really reenact it. Obviously, it's a bit good and for the better because the shit that old players had to deal with, especially in those eras, they had to farm a lot. Like, everything wasn't fucking easy. If you think it's hard as fuck to try to get a Skydance boon, imagine trying to farm for everything that has that sort of atrocious drop rate and you trying to farm for a good chunk of weapons and units. Note that on the Japanese PS2 back in episode 1, 2, and 3, you could not buy these things. There's a certain wall, there's a certain gimmick feature that you had to do to try to buy stuff off of the market, but if it's the top rarity stuff, especially from episode 3, when you had to, well, that's the thing. In episode 3, you could not sell 13 stars. You couldn't buy 13 stars. You had to farm for it. That was the main thing throughout episode 3. When they first introduced 13 stars, you couldn't do it. That same concept is being applied right now for a good chunk of 15 stars and the same with 13 stars. But here's the thing, you guys over there in Global were spoiled. And I will always say this, and I will always bring it up. You might not be a big fan of it, but hey, look, I'm being true. And I'm just saying it. Because it is true in my books. If you want to disagree, then so be it. But in all honesty, if you haven't seen the differences with Japanese and global, you wouldn't fucking know. Yeah, like, I'm talking about the Japanese people to talk about this passing, but in all honesty, it wasn't the greatest of things. But at the same time, I don't want to see bitchiness and complaints and spoiledness from fucking Global when they go into like, oh yeah, it's fucking hard to farm. You know how hard it was to farm for a lot of stuff? And the reason why a lot of the Japanese PSO2 vets are chill is because they already went through this process. Now, I can't vouch for a lot of the other ships, but I know that during episode, 2 and 3 of the Japanese PS2, there were a bunch of sternness and, elitism and, like, cancer and toxic stuff here and there. Especially with Magatsu, like, there were certain things that would happen if you did not see a weak bullet in the beginning. Now, it changed after certain things, but, the thing is, you wouldn't know what the fuck I'm getting at if you weren't there. Like, some of you guys that were fucking there, you know what I'm getting at. There were so many things. And once again, Global has it easy because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to farm constantly every fucking day or week or even within the months to try to get the things that they want. And then what's worse is that meta change. And the worst part is you could not buy stuff. You cannot easily swap over. You gotta farm for it rigorously. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. Sometimes some new player's lucky and they can get shit, and then that makes you a bit tilted, angry, whatever. But the thing is, a lot of the PSO2 true vets, those who played within those specific eras, they got over it. I feel like the beta players got over it a lot faster because they already saw what happened and they started to pick up the pattern and trends from what episode 1 and 2 were doing, especially when it comes to like the rarities back then. And don't get me started on fucking 12-star units back in episode 2. Like, if you think that Skydance Boon is super fucking rare, imagine trying to get a fucking 12-star unit back then in episode 2. It was like that, but worse. Because it had the most abysmal drop rates. I don't know how and why, but Sega decided to give me a fucking 12-star bow from Loser. I did not even know 12-star weapons exist until someone mentioned it, and then I looked at my storage and then apparently it was just sitting there. I was like, oh, I actually got a 12-star. Showed it off to my pals, but I didn't use it as much because that wasn't my ideal weapon. Yeah, I could have used it and showed off, but no, I didn't. Just because I was enjoying the game how I want to do it, and I didn't want to be a fucking douchebag or some shit like that. So, yeah, that's the thing though. Everyone has a fucking choice. Everyone can listen to hearsay and that say, but at the same time, I personally don't like it when people try to compare. Especially if they try to compare global to Japanese PS2. Don't fucking do it, because that's going to irritate me. Especially since, once again, global is easy. And yes, I get it. Like, it's easy and it's better, but do not try to compare difficulty. Because I can just say, no, I went through that. I've seen it. You guys don't know about it if you only played on global. And even if you played a bit of Japanese PS2, if you weren't there in that specific era, you weren't there at that specific era. And this is why I would try to play a game from the beginning, despite some of the the language barriers and whatnot, because you get to see the actual differences. You get to see the change in the things and how it can actually improve. And when it comes to my review video, note that it's going to emphasize heavily on the Japanese side because of this unique difference. I can't say the same for global. Like, if you think, if I'm using that logic, like I can't, like global can't compare itself to the Japanese, then Japanese can't compare to global. No, because guess what? Global pretty much took the easy route. It took episode 4, 5, 6 of what we had on our end, and they put it over there in global. They skipped over the hard parts. Once again, overall, in the general sense, yeah, it's a good thing. But at the same time, that means the unique thing that you went through on the Japanese PS2 is unique. Because you were there. You know how difficult it was. And then you also saw how it caused a huge rift in attitudes and personality. Because people didn't really stress over like going out hardcore anymore. Back then, yes, people were hardcore on the Japanese PS2, or what I've seen on Ship 2. There were certain requirements. There were teams that I knew and I hung out with. I did certain things. I organized MPA runs. I was helping out new players, but I was also doing like end game stuff. There was a lot of things I still remember. But yeah, no, I don't know why Global is going through this. And honestly, I actually have an answer to that. That was a rhetorical question. The big thing is just, how people want to play the game. And in all honesty, if you got a battle plan, you want to do it the certain way you want to do it, then do it. But at the same time, please do not say something stupid. Or do not try to do some sort of fucking comparison, especially if you're not there. This is why I kind of get annoyed with people trying to talk about fucking B20 on Ship 2. Yes, I get it. I was there, and that block did leave a bad impression where I was about to leave the goddamn game. But at the same time, you gotta understand it's a fucking community. And when it comes to communities, and a good pal might actually point this out, or an old pal might point this out to me, certain individuals make it bad. It's not the entire group in themselves. I've met some good people in that block. And some people, they're just regular people trying to have fun and just do what they want to fucking do. So why do you want to stop and judge that shit? Now, I feel like the notoriety and the rep that B20 got is because of all these things. And yeah, some of it's true, but at the same time, I'm gonna go on my merry way. If you're not a big fan of B20, why the fuck are you even in that block? Now, it did change. I could go into a video history lesson about it because I was there when certain things happened. They did also invade B1 at the time when I was actually trying to establish B1 as a friendly helping block with several other groups of my pals and in my team at that time. Yeah, I was stationed at B1 trying to make it nice, and then B20 invade because of a certain incident. I was there. I saw it. It pissed me off. But I got over it. So, yeah, I have a lot of history. And some of this stuff is just gone. Or I don't know why. Some people may not want to talk about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it, but it's just that I feel like global is just taking stuff for granted. Especially if they're making these videos where they kind of whine about some stuff. It's like, shut up. Just shut up. And now you can see that I'm fucking irritated just because, yeah, it's like, why? This is a game. Enjoy it. If you're playing an MMORPG and this game stresses you out, why the fuck are you playing an MMORPG in the first place? You know what you're getting yourself into. Or if this is your first MMORPG the game, then I feel like you haven't even have a good comparison. Like, PSO2 isn't that bad. If you think this is the worst fucking MMORPG game to play because of RNG rates, try some other game. They're twice as bad. And then, depending on like how you execute roles and stuff, that might be a bit, on the extremes. I heard stories about like how raids are and how you have to know how to play your role and stuff, and how if you don't know how to play your fucking role, like being a healer or a support or a tank and stuff, it can fuck up the entire run. PSO2 isn't like that. You can be really lax about it, and not only that, it's not heavy on the PvP side. If you want to play on a PvE game, this is it. But yeah, it's like, what am I looking at? I don't know. If you are Nody, share your thoughts. Like, I want to hear about your damn stories about trying to farm some stuff. I know that a couple of you guys brought it up, especially if I bring something that is owed. I remember a good chunk of people watching that time attack run that I did, where I physically went through the old way of doing fucking... Oh god, I hate that. It still gives me PTSD, but... It's just that, like, I ran through Nibirius, Lilpa, Demacia, whatever that thing is, Sanctum. That got a lot of old people talking. I remember a couple comments saying, oh shit, I remember this crap. I want to hear some stories from the oldies, like those who were true vets in that certain era, in the beta, episode 1, 2, and 3 of Japanese PSO2. Sadly, Global wasn't able to reenact that, and that's why I actually went to Global PSO2. I wanted to see if it could do that, because I did miss it a bit, low-key. Yes, it was painful, but at the same time, it was what made PSO2. Like, yes, there is a fucking divide. And yes, there's the global and Japanese. But in PSO2 as it is, that is crucial. That is within its history. That is part of PSO2. That hard-ass shit that a good chunk of players had to go through. Like I said, I can go on and on and on and on. But I'm going to make separate videos for all this. It might be a bit better than my stupid ass just rambling on and on. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just sitting here saying, And some of you guys talk about it too in the streams, and I just facepalm sometimes, and I just question, you're fucking kidding me, right? People are stressing it out. People are really stressing it out. Are they fucking idiots? Well, that's just me. This is my brutal and honest opinion. You can take it how you see fit. But yeah, there is a glaring difference. This is why when I do my review video, it's not going to emphasize on the global side. I will mention it. But it's more on the negative aspect, especially in that spoiling sense, because it is. Well, that can be a positive thing than a negative, but in my opinion, I hate... Well, this is my taste, my opinion. I do not like to be spoiled. Like, if the game wants it to be hard and is intended to be hard, then so be it. Let me go through the harsh conditions first, and then, yeah, spoil us later on. And once again, if you want to play the waiting game, you would actually have an edge compared to everyone else. Granted that if you're not farming as much and you don't get a bunch of Meseta and you don't use your money and don't increase it in some way, then you're just letting it sit there. So, excuse me. Yeah. That is it. Like, I wanted to make a video just addressing these things I've been saying, but it is what it is. And once again, this game should stress you out. It is really easy to do whatever you need to do. But do not let the naysayers have their way. If they're being idiots, they're being toxic, then actually fucking blacklist and walk away. You can do that. cut connections if need be. If they were one of your best buds, but then they became toxic, go ahead and cut that thread. You got to do what you got to do so you can have that fun. This game shouldn't stress you out. If it does, then I'm going to ask why and how. Because it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Especially for global, everything's going to get easy. Like, yes, you're going to need a lot of stuff. But the game is going to tackle that. And with what global has been doing, they've been spoiling you guys. The only thing, once again, to tackle this and to actually do it is to go out of your way to do it. There's fixed methods for it. The safest and easiest things you can do to get the things that you want, but you have to put in your input. You need to physically do what you need to do. That's how you get your fixed meseta, isn't it? Your Arcs Weekly missions. You have to do those things so you can get your easy 2 mil for a character. You have to take action. But you also need to figure out your plan. That is it. Thank you guys for watching once again. If you want to comment, put it down below. Any questions as well, put it down below. I'm just, I don't know. I'm too old for this. In terms of PSO2. Like, NGS, everyone's gonna be on the same field, hopefully. Hopefully. I really, hopefully they don't do, like, some fucking glaring difference I can point out here and there. But we shall see. I'll keep tabs. But, yeah, like, that's it. Peace.